All right, let's have a little brief introduction into random number generation. Uh, Random numbers are used in a variety of things. Essentially, I set ranges from minimum to maximum, and it's going to pick a number between those ranges. Uh, Regardless of what language you're using, uh, whether it's Java, whether it's Python, or some other language, it usually uses, it can't truly pick random numbers. It uses built-in formulas to decide what that random number is. It usually uses our system clock, our time, as a matter of fact. And every millisecond that changes, it uses that value, the exact time right now, to basically calculate what the next random number will be. Now, because of that, most of the time, at least in Java and Python, it tends to be fairly evenly distributed. I mean, you have just as much chance to get a 0 as you do to get a 10, for example. That's not necessarily the case if I was playing some games. Let's say dice-based game, for example. If I had 2 dice, 6 sides, 1 through 6, to actually get a 12, there's only one outcome that gives me that, 2 6s. To get 2, there's only one outcome, and that's 2 1s. If I wanted to get a 7, however, there's multiple ways to get that. So if I just use a regular random number generator to just give me between 2 and 12, the actual results won't match what real life dice would be. So depending on what you're making, a game or any other program, you might want to contemplate the probability of getting certain things compared to other things. Now, there's plenty of things that use random number generation. Of course, we have casinos, slot machines. The slot machine, when you press a button or pull the lever, depending on what it is, random number generators clicked, although it's not completely random. Essentially, it is random to an extent. Casinos have to pay back a certain percentage, but they also have to keep a certain percentage. That's how they make money. So it's kind of a weighted probability. If it was completely random, casinos probably wouldn't exist because they'd lose a bunch of their money. Somebody come in there, clean them completely out. So it's not completely random. Claw machines, if you remember those. Those actually don't use any random number generator per se, but you could still think of them as gambling machines in a sense. The way these machines work is they calculate how much, well, actually it's a lot of math. It calculates how much a prize and it's worth, and it calculates when the last prize was given out. You can actually set how many losses need to be there for someone to get a prize. These machines are designed to essentially make money. If someone's really skilled at it, they might be able to beat the curve. It depends. There are some machines, particularly over in Asia, they work a little bit differently, but it's still similar principle. The way it actually works, it kind of tends to throw the prize away instead of just not grab it like American versions. So you can actually, if you rock the thing back and forth, aim it to where it tosses it into the slot. Some really good people can actually pull prizes, it's a higher percentage than some of our American versions that just grab stuff and then don't actually grab it. And of course, we've got video games. My character's walking around and there's going to be a random battle in, let's say, an RPG or something. Well, every time you take a step, a random number generator clicks. And, is there a fight? Is there not? If there is a fight, then the fight occurs. If there isn't a fight, then, doesn't occur. And of course, you've got random number generators for all sorts of things. There are games called roguelites, which essentially just randomly generate the world around them. Some have even used random number generators for music and things like that to basically play the music. So it's used a lot, particularly in video games, but it's also used in card games and other things to simulate, randomly getting cards and things like that. But that is essentially what random number generation is, and it's used quite heavily in a lot of things, so it's really good to know. So that's essentially your rundown, basically how it works. The next video will be us actually going in and creating some programs using some random number generation.